Okay, for experiment 1, is it true, does listening to classical music help improve test scores? A researcher would like to know if listening to classical music helps improve test scores. So step 1, we're going to make a flow chart. Notice we only have one factor. The one factor is classical music. We only have one factor, which is classical music. Classical music. So for the flow chart, remember flow charts always begin with randomly assign. Now in this case we only have one factor, and that is listening to classical music. And then is it an experiment if you only listen to classical music? So we have to have a control group, which would be the no music, okay, or not listening to classical music. And then at the end of every flow chart we're going to compare results. So again, we don't need a table because we only have one factor, and every flowchart begins with randomly assign and ends with compare results. So in this case, we only have one factor, and that is listening to classical music. And then for treatments, we're going to need two groups, therefore we have two treatments. The first treatment is listening to classical music, and the control, the second treatment, would be no music. And then the response variable is what we're measuring, what are we looking at, and we're looking at the test scores. How did the test scores go? Okay. And then lurking variables. This is something that can impact the study. So for example, the volume, maybe the type of music, maybe the sound system that they have, anything that could mess up the study. So it could be temperature of the room, things that could impact the study. And then we're looking at what characteristics should we be looking for the participants. Well, we're really looking for students or people who take tests. Let's say test takers, okay? We're not going to go outside and just grab somebody and give them a test and put classical music on. We want students, test takers, people taking tests. And then what are some concerns and lurking variables? Again, we talked about that earlier, the volume, the type of classical music, the sound system, maybe the temperature of the room, things like that, okay? Now, the second experiment, Mr. Grocher would like to improve test scores of his statistics students, and he wants to know if using class notes or MyLab or a combination will improve test scores. So now we have two factors. So yes, we're going to make a table. One side, we're going to put study notes. On the top, we're going to put MyLab. And notice I didn't tell you how many study notes, how many hours on MyLab. So we're going to assume, yes, you use study notes. No, you don't. MyLab, yes, you do. No, you don't. And that is going to create our rows and columns. So we're going to have one group that uses study notes and MyLab. We're going to have one group that just does MyLab. We're going to have one group that just does study notes. And then we have one group that does no study notes and no MyLab. So the table's telling us we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 groups, 4 treatments. Now the flow chart. Remember, every flow chart begins with randomly assign, and every flow chart ends with compare results. Then the groups we need are 4 because we have 4 treatments. So one group is going to be study notes and MyLab. One group is going to be just study notes. One group is going to be just MyLab, and then one group will be no study notes, no MyLab. Then as far as the questions, we have 2 factors. That would be study notes and MyLab. We're going to need 4 groups, therefore we have 4 treatments. Remember, treatment and groups are going to be the same number. So the 4 treatments are study notes and MyLab. That's 1 treatment. Just study notes, another treatment. Just MyLab, another treatment. And no study notes, no MyLab is the last treatment. The response variable again is looking at the test scores. Will there be a control group? If it's an experiment, we have to have a control group, and that would be the no study notes, no MyLab group. And then some lurking variables were if they studied, right, for the test. Time management could be a lurking variable. Okay, maybe work or home life or maybe health, right? All those things could impact the test scores as well. And then for the last experiment, this one says, does drinking 2, 1, or 0 of energy drinks and 2 or 0 cups of coffee help people stay awake? So here we have two factors, and that's energy drinks and coffee, but this time they gave us the level, 2, 1, 0, 2, 0. So I'm going to put energy drinks on the top, and the levels are 2, 1, 0. I'm going to put coffee on the side, 2, 0. I'm going to make a little table out of this. Again, the levels tell you the rows and the columns. So we're going to have one group with 2 energy drinks, 2 coffees, 1 energy drink, 2 coffee, 0 energy drinks, 2 coffees, kind of like a multiplication table, right? 2 energy drinks, no coffee, 1 energy drink, no coffee, 0 energy drinks, no coffee. Therefore, the table is telling me I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups, because there's 6 treatments. And then when I go to the flow chart, remember, flow charts always begin with randomly assign, and it ends with compare results. And in the middle, we're going to put our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. So I'm going to put 2, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0. That would be our energy drinks. And I'm just copying those 6 treatments and put them in the middle, just putting those 6 treatments in the middle. 2, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, and that would be our coffees. So that would be our flow chart. We always start with randomly assign, groups are in the middle, and then at the end compare results. And then to answer the questions, what factors do we have? The factors would be energy drinks is one factor, and coffee is the second factor. Remember, we're going to need 6 groups, therefore we have 6 treatments. So we have 2, 1, 0, 2, 2, 2. So energy drinks, coffee, coffee, coffee. That's the first 3 groups. And then the other 3 groups are 2, 1, 0, energy drink, 0, 0, 0, coffee, coffee, coffee. Again, these are just the 6 groups that we got from the table. Then the response variable, again, what we're measuring is how long you stay awake. So we're measuring how long you stay awake. So maybe time you stay awake. Okay, is there a control group? Definitely. The 0 energy drinks, 0 coffee. Got to have a control group. What are some lurking variables? Maybe the type of coffee. So put type of drink, type of coffee, type of energy drink. Maybe the temperature, if it's warm or cold or hot of the drink, maybe the health conditions of the person, things that could impact the study, okay? Number 9 says, give an example of an observational study. So an observational study would be, remember, just watching, no control group, no treatment, just watching. So some classic examples would be children at play, how they interact with each other. Do they notice which kid is a different race? Which kid has a different socioeconomic status? Do they notice which kid is wearing different clothes? How do they interact with each other? How do they play with each other? Right? And then the other one is animals in the wild. How do they interact? Do they hunt in packs? Are they solitary animals? But those were just sitting and watching. No control group, no treatment, just watching. And then an experiment, which all 3 of these have been experiments. Remember, to be an experiment, you have to randomly assign first. Then you have your treatment group. There could be several of them. And then you definitely have to have your control group. And then at the end, you compare results. If you have that, then you have an experiment.